Yeah, I'm going to start. We're waiting for Liz. But first of all, I want to welcome you all. Thank you for coming out. I want to apologize for our lateness. We had an executive session during which we were discussing COA and or the non-COA, and it's complicated. It's an evolving story, I think. All right, so I would ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They go home? No. I'll just wait. I'll just start and then, okay. All right. Well, we've come out of executive session with Council on Affordable Housing, or the lack of is not the only thing we discussed. Personnel, construction code, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of R.J. McManus, the Vestibule Sub-Code official, effective March 30th, 2015.
Second.
Roll call? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Contract negotiations, PBA Local 317 stays in. Contract negotiations, white collar, Local number 469 stays in. Contract negotiations, Transcontinental Pipeline Company. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the form of the supplemental right-of-way agreements and authorize the township attorney to prepare an ordinance accepting them. This is for the following block of lots: Block 50, Lot 14, Lot 01, Block 50, Lot 14, Block 72, Lot 32.03, and Block 76, Lot 3.01.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Ariano?
Yes.
Mr. Broten?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy? Yes. Mr. Jutella?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes. Shall I get through the rest of it? Okay, all right. I'm going to interrupt for a minute. I have a resolution that I would like to read. The Township of Readington Resolution. Whereas the Readington Township Committee appointed James Izzo as a special officer in 1974, and whereas he graduated from the Seagirt Municipal Police Academy on May 22nd, 1975, and whereas on December 7th, 1992, Patrolman Izzo was promoted to the position of sergeant, and whereas on January 1st, 1996, he attained sergeant first class status, and whereas various times throughout his career, he was assigned a detective and detective sergeant within the police department, and whereas throughout his years in Readington Township, he received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition for his accomplishments from citizens, local, county, and state representatives, and whereas on March 1st, 2006, he retired as a full-time police officer, attaining the final rank of detective sergeant, and whereas he returned to duty, continuing to serve Readington Township as a Class II Special Police Officer in the fall of 2006. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of all residents of Readington Township, the Township Committee of the Township of Readington does hereby express sincere gratitude and recognition for Officer James D. Izzo's 41 years of service. Be it further resolved that he is thanked for his contribution to our community as an officer and a leader. Be it further resolved that the Township Committee, on behalf of all New Jersey communities, thanks Officer Izzo for his dedication and 41 years of service as a police officer charged with protecting and serving the public. Be it further resolved that Officer Izzo is wished a happy and healthy second retirement from the Readington Police Department and all the best in his future endeavors. And signed, Betty Ann Fort, Mayor.
Don't forget me though.
Don't forget me either.
I'd rather sing the song. Thank you very much, John. I'm very touched. I'm going to miss Readington.
Thanks, Bob. Love you, big guy.
Don't get the resolution. Thank you.
Can I have his money up?
Sorry you couldn't make it tonight, Bob.
Kick me out.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Let's say.
Well, we should all feel real safe. All right. Did we do transcom? Yes. Contract, meanwhile, back to the ranch. Contract negotiations, Echo Unit, Block 42, Lot 1, 402 County Road 523, that stays in. The attorney-client privilege executive session minutes, from March 16th, 2015. Do I have a motion to approve for content only?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Well, all in favor? Opposed? I'll get this eventually. Litigation, Rhode Island Developers LLC stays in. Litigation, Block 48, Lot 23, Block 55, Lot 33, Block 56, Lot 1, 3, 6, 8, Block 67, Lot 2, Solberg Aviation stays in. And the Council on Affordable Housing that stays in, that's ongoing. If I seem to be talking really fast, I am, because there's a game on tonight and a lot of people will say so. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Committee and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a committee member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from this general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broten?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy? Yes. Mr. Trapello?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes. Comments from the public for items listed on the agenda only. Okay, I'm not going to wait. Correspondence. we need to go over them. Is there anybody have any questions or any issues on the correspondence?
I did have a question on the resolution from the city of Lambertville with respect to the historical trust funds. And I was just curious if Readington Township has or has had any skin in that game in terms of
I believe Pat Fisher Olson was putting something together from the Historic Preservation Commission, but I don't think the Township Committee has. Do you think it would be a good idea to join with them?
I guess what I'm asking is whether or not we have at-risk funds that we have sought previously.
It's just the percentage that will be available is being cut. That's,
Yeah, so I think, I'm just guessing, or judging based on what I see here in the Lambertville
Right.
resolution, that there's potentially a 50% cut.
Yes, absolutely. So, would you propose that
I was
we,
wondering if we in
Put
fact
together a
are
similar
impact,
yes.
if we should prepare a comparable resolution to file with the legislative body.
I would certainly support that. Any other comments?
I would agree as well.
All right, Nita, can we do that then? All right. Thank you, John. Good idea.
I would need a motion.
We have a motion to,
I would make a motion that we prepare a resolution in response to New Jersey legislature. I'm trying to find it here, make it up as I go here. Senate, under Assembly Bill number 497 regarding the potential impact of a reduction in the Garden State Preservation.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks, John. All right, new business, the introduction of the 2015 municipal budget. Who does it?
John?
John's going to do that?
Yeah, okay. First of all, let me say, let me clear the record first. I missed one of the meetings here a week or so ago when we had the second meeting on the budget, a memorial service. I was unable to make that meeting. But at that meeting, we asked Vita and Tom and the staff to go back and look at the budget and see if there was some things that could be done to mitigate as best as possible under the circumstances the impact on an increased municipal tax rate. And they have done that, and I appreciate that very much. I would like to make a couple of comments on that revision, if you will. And one of those is, the proposed tax rate is still nearly a 3% increase over the rate in 2014. So that's, I think we're faced with a situation where there's probably not much more we can do. But I think that's something that, as we look forward, troubles me somewhat. I think this is the beginning of tough times, or continuation of tough times, and I think increasing the rate is not something I would prefer to do, but I think given where we are, we're probably at that stage. A couple of comments. One that some cautionary notes I'll say is the use of some of the surpluses that we have to mitigate the impact on expenditures in the coming years, and those are things that are not going to continue. They're not sustainable long term, and that's one of there's a couple of tools in that regard that are helping us to mitigate the impact on the expenses or on the tax rate, I should say. I'm sorry. So a couple of items when. I would like to say, while when I looked at the last meeting I was at, I commented that I would like to see an increase in the fire department support for fire equipment, and that is not done in this proposal. And a couple of statistics that I think I had mentioned the last time around. The fire equipment budget is 13% under what was spent in 2014. It's 22% under what was budgeted in 2007. And I think, as I've said previously, and I'll say it again, I think that is a function that the Township Committee needs to take seriously and do what we can to get that back where it needs to be. And I'll just add that as I was looking through some of the numbers, I did some further comparison. And one of the areas that troubles me a bit is I looked at the mayor and committee salaries. And over the period of the last 8 years from 2007, the mayor and committee salaries have increased about 2.5% every year. And in my view, that's wrong. And I'm going to be very blunt about it. We are about 30% above any township in the area. I think if we're going to try to get our fiscal house in order, it's incumbent on this committee to bear some of the burden of doing that. And I think I mentioned the last time around that I proposed a 25% cut. It's not in here, but I think, in my view, it's difficult for me to support a budget where we're increasing our salaries at a time when we're not increasing funding where I think it's really needed. So having said that, I think there's a couple of other comments that I'd like to make with respect to the capital budget. While it's not final until we actually adopt the ordinances to implement it, I am pleased to report that the rescue vehicle that has been discussed the last several meetings is provided for in the capital improvement budget, and I look forward to us being able to get an ordinance together to move that forward. That's all I have.
Okay, a couple of things. I'm perfectly willing to freeze my salary. That doesn't bother me, but I certainly don't want any person in this town to not be able to run for it. It costs money. It costs me more in between gas and time and everything else than certainly I'm making. I understand it's a volunteer job, and I understand I get paid for it. I don't get medical insurance. I'm certainly not going to qualify for pension. At one point, town committee members did get medical insurance for years, and that was an addition. So as new people have come on, that's not true anymore. The other thing, I'm not doing this for the money, but it sure is nice to pay for the fill up at the gas tank, at the gas station, which is really where anything I get goes. But the other thing I want to say, John, is in terms of the capital, we put money in there to, if the committee decides to support the purchase of that truck, that the money is in there for the down payment, but I don't believe any decision has been made on that.
As I mentioned, I said it's in the proposed capital budget here, which is not effective until such time as the ordinance implementing that is adopted.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
John, I'm confused about your, did I hear you correctly when you said that the proposed budget is for is it the rescue squad or the fire department, or both, is 13% under?
For the fire company, it's for the fire company. It is 13, the amount proposed in the budget is 13% under what was incurred by the fire department for training certain equipment in 2014.
Okay, but how much is it under what the budget was for 2014? Because they have donations, right?
The budget,
I thought you were going to get those numbers.
What was spent on?
the budget, let me just be clear, the budget that is submitted here in this budget is $74,400. The fire company incurred expenditures of $88,414.99 in 2014-15.
Okay, but my question for you, John, is if you're proposing a budget of $74,400 in 2015. What was the budget that was proposed for that same department in 2014?
$77,400.
Okay, so it's a decrease of the difference between 77 and 74.
Your budget is not decreased this year.
The budget is not decreased. That's what we
Yeah.
did
In
not.
2007, the same line item was $99,800. That's 8 years ago.
Right, I understand, John, but we've had a recession and every department's budget has decreased. But I just
Everybody
think-
except the mayor and the committee.
Okay, that's another topic, but what I'm saying is that this figure of, that somehow the budget is 13% down from 2014, I think is not.
What I said was that the amount budgeted for 2015 is 13% below what was incurred in 2014.
So it's 13% below what they spent, but they also received donations and things, right? So it's not an apples to apples comparison of what their budget was in 2014. So Vito, what was the budget that was?
The township transferred money to the fire department in the form of about $11,000 at the end of the year. My point here is, if there was a need in 2014 for $88,000, I don't see how we can say that there's not a need, that there's only a need for $77,000 in 2015. And moreover, I would say, again, how it can be 22% what was budgeted 8 years ago.
I think if you looked at every department, you would find that since 2007, it's gone down, whether it's by staff, lowering the staff count or the budget count. And I think, like everything else, I mean, it's part of a whole quilt here. So we're not in trouble. We're being very careful. Tax rate, as you know, as we all know, is a multiplier. What matters at the end of the day is what's coming out of your pocket. And I think what people are going to find this year, what's coming out of their pocket for a series of reasons, is going to be less than what came out of their pocket last year, which is what we have been determined to do. So, you know, I think the tax rate it has to do with equalized value. It has to do with what our properties are assessed at as opposed to what they are assessed at in other towns. This is one of those magic boxes that a whole lot of numbers go into and a whole lot of very smart people figure it out. But I don't think the tax rate is the be-all and end-all here. What's the be-all and end-all is what comes out of the residents' pockets, and I think it's going to be down. It's going to be less in 2015 than it was in 2014. Tom, do you have any comments about I mean, you were the liaison for many years. Do you have any comments about the,
I'm just questioning the number from 2007. I know that the township gave an increase of $10,000 for several years, Vita? Was that? 2-3 years, and that was just, I believe we did that because they were going from low-frequency radios to high-frequency radios. I don't remember the years in which we did that, but actually we agreed to do it for 1 year and actually did it for 3 years. So, yeah.
so that was a glitch, that was a blip. So
I don't know the years in which that.
I think one of the things that we need to look at with our fire departments, and heaven knows, I appreciate their service and I think they're wonderful. I think we need to look at ways to take advantage of shared services and things to maybe cut some of that individual departments' training budgets and all of that. So it's something to look at. I don't think anybody saw it as an affront to anybody. They didn't spend all of their training budgets last year. I think it's pretty close, and hopefully we can work through.
They overspent their training budget last year, again, by 13%. What was budgeted was $77,400. They incurred $88,500.
Repair and maintenance, okay. Well, there are things that we need to look at to find, and they need to help us with this, to find ways to take advantage of shared services and things that maybe we can do fine.
We'll give
So-
them an application.
All right, anything, I'm trying to think, any other comments from the committee? All right, so action, we need to, motion to, I need a motion. I guess it's a motion to introduce.
The motion to introduce the 2015 budget.
Do I have a motion to introduce the 2015 budget?
So moved.
So, roll call?
Right.
Yeah, it's a roll call.
Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broten?
No.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
No.
Mayor Ford?
Yes.
Okay, and the public hearing will be May 4th at 7:45.
Yeah, okay. What, May 4th, did you say, Peter?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is a zoning permit application for the Three Bridges Fire Company for a special event 5-mile run. Does anybody have any questions? Do I have a motion to approve this application?
Well, I believe this was,
I think,
the word approved might be not good, but the police department approved of
Yes.
the event as far as safety is concerned, so we normally,
just acknowledge it.
well, we should vote on it, but yeah, it's normally approved by the township.
Okay. So,
So I will make a motion to approve the zoning permit application for Three Bridges Fire Company Special Event 5-mile run.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Administrators report? Nothing? Attorneys report?
I just had a correction on, sorry, Tom, on the transco one. The one block that you listed was, should have been block 50, lot 41. But I wasn't sure what you were saying, but I double checked it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so do we need to amend that motion? Okay. All right. Engineers report?
The road reclamation is, the committee had a chance to look at the roads, and we have a consensus on what we're going to do with those.
No.
Not yet?
At the next meeting, I'm hoping to bring the ordinance forward. I still have one more committee member to meet with, and then we'll have that list finalized.
Okay, committee reports, Thomas Oriama, Recreation Department, Police Department, Library Services.
I have nothing new to report this month.
John Broten, Engineering, Roads, Maintenance, and Recycling.
I think that would also.
Okay. Liz Duffy, Planning Board, Farmland, Open Space Preservation, Land Projects, Liaison, Board of Health.
I have a couple of things. From the Open Space Advisory Board, the Open Space Board had applied for tree seedlings that were going to be given away by the state to help replant communities damaged by Superstorm Sandy under the New Jersey Tree Recovery Campaign. And there's a schedule of events. Saturday, April 18th, there'll be a seedling giveaway at the municipal building from 10 to 1. There's going to be a Raritan Headwaters River cleanup event from 9 to 1, and there'll be seedlings given away there as well. And also to anyone who comes to the Readington Community Garden from 10 to 11:30, and that's all on April 18th. April 25th, there's going to be Community Arbor Day, Seedling Planting Day at the Tree Nursery at the Dover Farm from 10 to 1. And they'll be giving away seedlings at that event as well. So we would encourage residents to come and pick up some free seedlings and plant them. And they have these signs that we're going to put around, and hopefully people would take advantage of that. The other item is that there is a student in the Environmental Field Studies program at RVCC that is a student of Dr. Jay Kelly. He's going to be conducting research for a class that's going to involve deer density at several sites within the township. And his methods are going to be to go to various areas of public open space. He's going to use motion trail triggered cameras to document deer incidents. And he's also going to use a spotlight survey, creating a route along roads. So he was just concerned that the committee be aware of the project, and he's going to make the police department aware so that if they see someone out there on the open space with a spotlight, they're not going to think that there's anything nefarious going on.
Jacking deer, right?
Yeah, so he wrote a letter, and I'm going to share this with the chief so that he knows what's going on with this student project.
When, does it have a start date and a finish date?
Yep. The spotlight survey is going to be Friday nights from April 3rd through May 1st after dark between the hours of 9 and 11. So I don't know that he started that yet, but we will get that over to them.
Okay, good.
That's all I have.
All right, Betty Ann Ford, Planning, Zoning, Sewer Advisory, Historic Preservation, Museums, Social Services, Code Enforcement, Construction. I don't have anything to report. Sam? Fire companies, rescue squads, school crossing guards, municipal court.
I did meet with, on crossing guards, no big issues there, so. But I did want to mention, my township email won't allow me to attach anything, so I said, I've been working on my own on an open space, exempt properties of all of Readington Township for about 8 months. And it's got various sources from the township, the open space committee, and county database, all records. Trying to figure out in one place what the cost has been. I think you should have got a copy of it. Thank the open space for that information. They gave, if there's a permanent place there that someone wants to maintain that, I'd be happy to do an unprotected file if the person wants to maintain that. If anyone wants a copy of that report, you can either ask Vita or myself. I'd be happy to share it.
I think the report needs a little bit of work. There's some errors in it. We talked about that there, for example, there's a farm that's listed twice on 2 different boxes. You know, we had provided you with the official open space inventory from the Township Open Space Committee, and that's the one that's posted on the website. That's the one that has the most accurate information, but we can work on.
I found even errors in that one. But it also doesn't include what the state owns and what the county owns in the town. And my study includes that, which gives a much bigger view of just how much land is being preserved, which is about 31% of the township's state.
Well, there is an open space map that we have in the room that we had showed you that has that on it as well.
Yeah.
The state and the
It's hard to
county.
figure out what the percentage is. Or exactly what properties are where. Anyway, I hope it's useful.
Thank you. At this time, we open the meeting to comments from the public.
Good evening. John Klingen, 21 Militia Road, White House Station. I'm coming before the committee today to find out the status of my amended sewer allocation agreement. I came before this committee on February 17th, which was about 7 weeks ago. My understanding that would be receiving an amended sewer agreement, so I'm just trying to find out what the status of it is.
Probably can speak to that.
We are very close, actually, Rob just sent me the spreadsheet today, the final numbers. Sharon has prepared the amended agreement, but I wanted to see if our numbers, what the story told as far as what is owed us for these reserve capacity. At this point, I just got Rob's final report today, and we'll be working on the response to your request at this point. I have to absorb what Rob.
Okay, but as far as what's going to be added, it's going to be adding a caveat into the original agreement that if it's determined that the sewer plant expansion cost of the township has been paid for, that would not be responsible for paying the agreement. Okay. I also just want to point out, just a food for thought, the ordinance, which was 17-2001, which was actually adopted in September 17, 2001, that was the one which actually codified when those fees were required. Now, again, if it's determined that that fee was already paid in 2000, I'm just questioning why you would pass an ordinance in 2001 spelling out a fee requirement.
Well, I don't believe that that's correct. I think that ordinance was adopted originally in
87.
Yeah.
But that was the original portion. It was amended twice since then. In 2001 is when they actually codified the $18.83 per gallon requirement. So that's what I
The
just...
$18.83 requirement, and I'm going to prepare a response to you, was based on a formula that was determined by the professionals of the Readington Lebanon Sewerage Authority, okay? And they had a exhibit of all the costs, and that was originally appended to all the sewer agreements. And at that point, when they were first, the agreements were being entered into was probably in the late 1990s, I believe. And so, I'll be explaining to you in that letter that the costs were higher than the sewer bond that I think you were given information on. And so I'll put that together into a letter to you. But just because Readington paid off the bond doesn't mean that there were other costs there. From what I'm seeing, there was like $1.5 million in other costs above the bond.
Yes.
And it was the intention of the township committee at the time that that expansion went into place, they, as in the public record, that the cost of the sewer expansion was to be paid by all the users of that capacity and not by the taxpayers of the township.
Right.
And so the fact that Readington may have gone ahead and paid some of those expenses to get that expansion going doesn't mean that all those costs have been satisfied. And I think that what we're going to find out is the costs have not been satisfied because all the capacity that has been given out has not necessarily equaled the cost of the plant.
But also, monies that were collected as a result of user fee agreements were also
That's
used.
different.
But that was...
User fee agreements correspond to the actual operating costs of the plant.
I'm referring to user fee agreements that were used for reserve capacity that would not go towards what?
I think we're going to find that that has still not been paid. I think that would be the conclusion, but I think at this point, we've got to look at Rob's final numbers.
But what you're using though is not how much you collected. It's basically where the money came from. If it was paid prior to 2001.
I think we're going to find that the costs have not been satisfied yet.
Okay. So I'll be getting something shortly.
Soon.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. I've been patiently waiting just to move forward my project. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Sign-in sheet.
Beats me. We're saving money.
Budget cut. John Broten, Readington Township. I just wanted to let the committee know that after a couple more phone calls, the inappropriate signs that were erected by PSC&G have been removed.
Woo-hoo. Good. Any other comments? Look at the clock, John. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you all for coming. Drive safely getting home.